I call to order this August 14th, 2024 meeting of the North Allegheny School Board. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you make sure Dr. Highland is also on? We can't hear you.
I believe my mic is working now. Excellent. We'll start with our calendar review. Tonight we have our regular meeting. We preceded this with an executive session to discuss a personnel matter. And tonight we will have our Readiness of Schools presentation. On September 11th, we will have a work session and a human resources update. And our regular voting meeting in September will be on the 25th. And we will also have our North Allegheny Foundation report. We will start with our Readiness of Schools presentation. Dr. Highland.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Warner. Well, it's that time. It's time to go back to school, and the administrative team and everyone that works here over the summer is ready to go. For those folks that don't necessarily know, a lot of the work that gets the school year ready happens in the summertime. And I would be remiss if I did not thank my administrative team at the central office level, but also at the building level. To be able to prepare for 8,500 students approximately is a yeoman's work, and they have done a fantastic job. The proof will be in the pudding once the kids get through their first couple of days of school, but I feel rather confident that we are ready to go. I'd also like to thank the maintenance and grounds and the custodial groups. I've had the opportunity to go through multiple schools, and one of the best feelings is when you walk into a school and you see those floors shining, and they are definitely shining. And so the outside grounds, you can see the mulch starting to go down. I'm sure the mums will be started to be planted soon, and hopefully we have an environment and a front porch when our kids come into the buildings, they see a well-kept, manicured building ready to go. And of course, a lot of the work that gets done over the summertime is done by our administrative assistants. And I see my administrators shaking their head. Yeah, that's where the work gets done. I know in my case, that is definitely a fact. So again, I just want to be able to say thank you to all those folks who do all the work behind the scenes, don't get the opportunity to sit at the table and get the kudos, but that's exactly where it belongs, with those people. So I have the pleasure of starting my second year at North Allegheny as a superintendent, and I can tell you I feel a heck of a lot more comfortable than I did my first year. But over the past year, we've made a lot of changes to the district. There's a lot of people and different new people on the bus, and some people on that bus have been moved into different seats. And so we're excited to meet some of our new employees and have them work with our kids. But we also have some new things. And as we talked about last week, we talked about the balanced scorecard, and that will be officially approved, hopefully by the board next month. But the board has pretty much given us the thumbs up on that. So we're going to start introducing that to our employees at our first opening in service with them. We have a nearly fully staffed police department. We have 11 out of our 12 positions for the buildings. We would have one more position, which is a floater. Chief Harpster will talk a little bit about that more. What impressed me the most is when the board made it very, very clear to me. They didn't have to work too hard to do that. We definitely wanted all our buildings to have police presence in them, but we never wanted to compromise the quality of people that we're bringing in. So we're a couple short, but we're working and efforting to make sure that we can get fully staffed on that, but we're close. We also added some new social workers, which they'll talk a little bit about later, to help our students get through some of the challenges that they're facing. We added a student assistants to the middle school level. We are piloting our universal screener in the hope that we can catch some of those kids that may be having difficulties, and the proverbial kids that fall through the cracks. Hopefully we can make that gap smaller, that those kids can't fall through those cracks. And we have added a new benchmark assessment tool, Star 360. And I know Dr. Dow will talk a little bit about that. And one of the things I think is important that we recognize when our students and our staff do well. When I was here back from 2008 to 2018, we had what was referred to as the DAAs, Distinguished Achievement Awards. And we are bringing that back so that we can highlight to the community all the wonderful things that our students are doing. So that are just some of the things that are new for this year. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the rest of my team so that they can share the school readiness from their perspective and their departments. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Harpster.
Thank you. First, I just want to thank everybody, all the assistant superintendents, the superintendent, IT, everybody, because every single one of them, everything I've been able to accomplish up to this point, they have been more than willing to help me at every step of the way and teach me the ropes and teach me, show me how the school setting operates and just make it a much smoother transition. All the police officers in October are scheduled to be 2-day training to be certified as ALICE instructors by Navigate 360. We're going to host that right here at the Barrow Center in NA. So there are people coming from all over to the training to be certified as ALICE instructors. So that gives us a few seats in the class. And that'll be happening in October, the 22nd and 23rd. The 24th, we'll be the first school district that Navigate 360 is rolling out a new ALICE program for the way it was explained is ALICE they've gotten a lot of requests that people are interested in ALICE, but they can't necessarily send somebody to 2 days of training away from the school, or they can't afford the price tag to send somebody to the school. So ALICE has created a 4-hour kind of introductory class for ALICE, and the very first one is going to be here at being held at North Allegheny School District. Just this week, we did conduct our first phase 3 ALICE training with the current instructors that we have now. Myself and several building admin are certified ALICE instructors. We had 60 people in the course in phase 3 training. We kind of modeled it for the setting that they're in every day. We had the training right here in the boardroom, and we did some of the scenarios were right in their offices and what they may see. Instead of taking them to another environment, we made it as realistic as possible. I received a lot of feedback. And one of the things that ALICE Phase 3 does, its intention is to get people thinking about their surroundings and situational awareness. And I had a lot of excellent questions after the class. Different people came up to me that showed that they're starting to think a little bit about their surrounding and their situational awareness. For the start of the year, we will have 10 officers in place. The 11th officer is going to start in early September 12th, I believe. And we still do need 2 additional police officers to complete the department. The building assignments at Nash will be Officer Scott Slagle. He's a retired chief of police from O'Hare Township. At NAI, he's coming back from last year. He was at NAI as Officer Steve Liston. He's a retired state trooper. At Carson Middle School is Officer Rich O'Neill. He's a retired City of Pittsburgh. Ingomar Middle School, Eric Sipes, he's another returning from last year. He's also a retired state trooper. Marshall Middle School will be Officer Greg Walton. Bradford Woods, we have Patrick Sariello. Ingomar Elementary School is Amy Bainon. Those 3 officers are all retired state police, as well as Frank Chitra, and he'll be at Franklin Elementary School. At HOSAC, would be Pat Moffitt, and he's also at Peoples to start the year until Officer Calabrio starts on September 12th. Pat Moffett is also retired, City of Pittsburgh, and Officer Calabro is a retired state trooper. Heather Bristow from the City of Pittsburgh as well is at McKnight Elementary, and Officer Walton will also be covering the campus of Marshall and Marshall Elementary School. So it's a campus he's able to, he will be in the morning, he'll be there for drop off at the middle school and walk the 100 yards to the elementary school, where he'll be there for the drop off for the elementary kids. At the end of the day, he'll be back for the pickup at middle, and he can walk down to the elementary. He has an office in both buildings now. He's going to make sure that his time is split, where he's spending quality time in each building. There's not going to be, I don't want him to have a set schedule to say he'll be here on Monday and here on Tuesday. I want him to, change it up. And some days, so weeks he may be there on Monday. The next week he could be at a different school. So that's the officers. Thanks.
Okay, good evening. For technology and innovation, Power School was opened up to families last week for schedules, bus information. We are updating the bus information as quickly as transportation is doing it. We're doing it about once an evening, re-uploading any changes that they make. New for this year in Power School is students at the high schools can run an unofficial transcript directly from Power School. Our new employee devices are ready for distribution. Tomorrow, we will be passing those out to the new teachers. They will be bringing them back for their orientation with tech services on Friday. Our student devices are ready for distribution. We did deploy the 9th grade laptops at NAI this week, and the rest are ready for when the students arrive. Some infrastructure upgrades. These are some big ones. We put in almost 1,000 wireless access points this summer. We are still working night and day to fine-tune that process. And then also the final phase of our infrastructure, our switching technology at our middle schools was replaced, and we finished that work up late last week. So technology is in good shape.
Good evening. So this year we are implementing a new assessment program. We are going to STAR 360. This will replace ExactPath, which has been in place for the last 3 years. Very excited about this. We've done a lot of work this summer to get ready. This will be for grades 3 through 8 in ELA and math. We have a new science curriculum implementation. As you know, 2 years ago, we went through a curriculum review for science. We are now doing an inquiry-based program. This summer, I have to thank Jenny Gray, who is my assistant, who put together kits for every grade level for every elementary. This entire room was filled with bins of all kinds of goodies. I'm really excited to see. It's a lot of hands-on. I think the students will really enjoy it. We are also implementing a new math curriculum in K through 5. It is Go Math, which has been our program. This is an updated version. One of the biggest changes is we have a program called Waggle, which is part of Go Math. It's an interactive program to work on skills at an independent level for each of the students. And then we have 4 curriculum or program reviews this year that will start. Social Studies, ELA, BCIT, which is Business Computer Information Technology, and School Counseling. The one thing to note about our ELA, our English Language Arts program, is this will be a 2-year curriculum review. It's not a 1 year. And we decided to do that because it is such a large undertaking. We wanted to make sure that it was very thorough and that we took our time to make the best decisions. Something that we changed last year and we are continuing with, and we will refine it, is parent conferences in the elementary schools. We will have a consistent sign-up process. I think it went very well last year, but we took feedback from parents, from teachers to try and refine this process even more. And we will continue with PSSAs online. Last year was the first year. You may not know, but the state has mandated in 2 years, everyone across the state will have to be online. So I feel really good about making this adjustment last year. So we're kind of ahead of the curve. And I do think it went very well. The next is we have some administrative changes at the elementary level. Mr. Matt Heckman is going to be joining us as the principal at Hozak Elementary School. He has been serving as the assistant principal for Marshall Elementary School, and he was a teacher and a technology coach within the district. And then at Marshall, to fill those big shoes of Mr. Heckman, we have Miss Olivia Vanderzee on the board tonight. She will be a lead teacher. She has been a teacher at Hozak. She has been a teacher at Marshall. She's very excited and she's got a lot of energy and ready to take on this role. So I'm very excited about that. And then finally, we made changes to our open house format last year. We're going to continue with that. And that will be for elementary. K-5 will be from on September 12th. And we divided because of parking, various things throughout, but we will send out communication to all parents for our open house for elementary.
Thank you, Dr. Dow. For the secondary team, I know the building level principals are very excited to welcome back our teachers and staff members, and especially the students very soon. Just to highlight some changes at the secondary level, open house as listed with the dates and times represented on the slide will run as shown. One of the changes at the middle level, we've instituted a more of an interactive opportunity for parents and families that are in attendance. It's an opportunity to have a little bit more of an informal opportunity to meet and greet staff members. Quick summary, each of the 3 grade levels will have a whole group presentation summarizing the main points of the curriculum in the auditorium, spaced out by grade levels. And during the non-grade level time of your respective student, you will have the opportunity to become familiar with the building and informally meet the teachers and staff members that appear on your student schedule in the building. So we're excited about this opportunity and to make it a little bit more interactive and family and student friendly. Along those same terms, we updates in the program of study from last year, implementing this year, some changes in the grading practices, the reporting of student progress. We received a lot of feedback from the students and teachers that the reporting of student performance, such as grades and points, wasn't always easily calculable, if that's the correct word. So the use of total points for students to be able to better track their performance has been a transition which we will be integrating this year. And that has been very well received from the student and families that we've had the opportunity to speak with. Also, as communicated in the program of studies, the GPA calculation, traditionally for GPAs, the academic track for the default courses in a grade level will be your traditional A is a 4.0, B is a 3.0. And for our honors level courses, the GPA would be a 4.5. And for our advanced placement AP courses, you can earn a QPA for a 5.0 for an A earned in those courses. Some classes, as represented in the program of studies, are both CHS and AP, and those would fall under the 5.0 scale. And along with the elementary, a few administrative changes. Welcoming to Ingomar Middle School is Mrs. Hudson, formerly the principal at Hozak Elementary, as well as a lead teacher, as we are still in the process of identifying a new assistant principal at Nash. Mr. Justin Kowalski will fulfill the role of lead teacher. Mr. Kowalski is another student-centered, student favorite teacher, very energetic, and has been heavily involved in our student activities and has built very strong relationships and trust within the student body at Nash. So we're excited to welcome him to the lead teacher role. Thank you.
Is that on? Oh. Okay. Can you hear me? Perfect. Student Services is also very excited to begin the school year. We've had a lot of work in preparation this summer. We also are welcoming new staff. Dr. Carrie Frohnapple is our supervisor of special education and gifted education. We also have Dr. Stephanie Seviller, who is the coordinator of special education and gifted education for grades 11 through age 22, because that is a larger population of students in that high school range. And she's going to be able to focus on transition. We had a training this summer for all our building administrators on the student service restructure that we've been working on since spring. We talked about our social workers and the role that they're going to have in the building with our students. We also have a platform that we are using called ASAP, and that is related to student assistance programming, but it also is a great platform for us to store our documentation for interventions that we may be working on with students in a one place. Also with that, I'm just going to skip out of line there for a second. The universal screener that you heard Dr. Highland mention is something we're going to be working on with 5 of our elementary schools this year. And in that same ASAP platform is the universal screener. And it's a tool that we built into that platform that makes it easy for teachers to quickly do their screening, and that the data is analyzed, and then our social workers will be easily able to identify students who are at low risk, moderate risk, and high risk. And then back to the one previous middle school SAP coordinator role. Dr. Highland also mentioned student assistance at the middle school level. And so we are welcoming Mr. Jeff Longo, who used to be our SAP coordinator at the high school, who is now down into our middle schools to work on SAP programming for our 3 middle school levels. Some other things under student services. English Learner Development Program, ELD, is now under the Student Services Department. It's a great place for that service, and we have lots of work to do with welcoming all of our students into the district into those programmings via our screening process. We are opening a second emotional support classroom at McKnight Elementary. We are also going to be, again, piloting that universal screener for behavioral screening and interventions for our 5 elementary schools. We have 7, but there are 5 that are going to start in the actual pilot this year. Social workers spent time this summer with myself working and developing procedures and protocols to support students in their assigned buildings. And our SAP coordinator is preparing to lead that support for programming for 6 through 8 in student assistance. We are also going to continue work on our inclusive practices and universal design for learning. The PBIS work is going to be continued as well. We're going to keep working so all of our school buildings reach tier 1 with fidelity. That's where we're striving. And then those that reach it will then be able to participate in tier 2 and tier 3 advanced interventions, which would then enable them to do the universal screener and the behavior so that we have interventions for those students when they indeed are ready. And one of our big goals overarching for student services is to support our general education teachers to provide instructional strategies in their classroom that support all of our learners.
And from a finance perspective, the business office is wrapping up the 23-24 fiscal year in the upcoming weeks, with the final payroll run related to the last fiscal year is actually happening this Friday. And then right after that, the year-end audit procedures will commence. As we look forward to the 24-25 fiscal year, the budget was passed in June with expected revenues of $199.6 million and expenditures of $198.6 million. So we are expected to have our expected revenues are able to cover our anticipated expenditures and cash flow needs for the upcoming school year. With that, I'll pass it over to Ms. Tracy.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. Good evening. It seems like just a short time ago, we were honoring and celebrating our retirees, but I can assure you the administrative team throughout the district has been hard at work to find folks to fill their shoes to continue the great traditions here at North Allegheny. Tomorrow, it's a big week for our district. Tomorrow is the start of new hire orientation for our new professional and paraprofessional employees. We will orient them tomorrow and Friday. Already those numbers on the slide that we entered yesterday are incorrect. We have about 50 new Tigers attending tomorrow. The RSVPs still come in. I think they heard it's a tremendous program and they can't wait to get here. So we'll welcome anyone who shows up. This year's new hire orientation, similar to last year, features targeted professional development for new teachers and paraprofessionals, in addition to district and building orientation and technology training and the regular stuff like when's your first paycheck, where do you park, things like that. We'll make sure everybody's good and ready to go for our students next Thursday. Next slide will tell you a little bit more about our hires. So the positions we've filled, both contract and long-term substitute positions we filled this summer is about 84. Some of that, the fills are internal too, when some teachers or paraprofessionals seek out opportunities, maybe in a different school or a different position. For instance, that some folks have noticed before, the central administrative office receptionist has moved to be the transportation secretary because she likes phone calls. So she's moving down there. So we had to backfill her. We're very excited to welcome her replacement tomorrow at orientation. But we have filled about 92% of our professional positions. We continue. The reason the rate isn't 100% is because some open. We open new positions when we have enrollments that then tip us into a new section. So every week we seem to be posting one or two, and we can't seem to get that to that 100%, but we'll get there for sure. Paraprofessionals, we filled about 25 so far. That remaining vacancies, we do have 5, but it wasn't the same 5 it was yesterday. And these 7 paraprofessionals are now 6. And the new para is actually coming tomorrow to new high orientation because they got their paperwork in lightning speed. We have about 350 substitutes for the district, always welcoming more. And of those, about 32 are retiree subs. And if you do not have a teaching certification, don't worry, you could still substitute at the district. We have opportunities for those with a college degree to be guest substitutes in our classrooms. And we also have paraprofessional substitutes who are invaluable in our district. So as always, we continue to hire bus drivers and special education paraprofessionals, teachers, everything. Check out our career page on the website. Thanks so much.
Good evening, everybody. Next up is facilities and operations. Some general updates of, like Dr. Highland was talking, all of our schools are thoroughly cleaned. Our custodial maintenance staff has been very busy with the 1.6 million square feet of buildings that we do have. Painting and striping was refreshed as needed throughout parking lots in the district. That's a yearly thing we try and do as a rotation. District-wide asphalt repairs were made, and some of the biggest ones you'll see is at Marshall campus for middle and elementary school. The main roadway through there was done. Various spots of concrete and sidewalks were repaired and leveled just to eliminate any trip hazards. I'm always monitoring safety concerns, and all of our supplies have been refreshed and ordered for the school year. For capital projects that we've done, we've completed 29 capital projects this summer. One of them, like I mentioned, was the Marshall campus, and that also included repaving of the playground and the tennis courts there. We're just waiting to get the tennis courts with the sports surface put on and the lines done. Hozak Elementary School received a new PA and clock system, which will help with our emergency preparedness and notifications for the students within all the classrooms. The tennis courts at Nash were resurfaced, and we're waiting for the sports surface to be done on that, including the D zones on the ends of the football field and the javelin runway. And we've had some various masonry repairs done at several of the schools this year. That's all I have.
For the communications department, first off, I'd like to thank everyone here at North Allegheny for the opportunity for me to be here in the role of public relations and communications, and looking forward to doing some unique things. So I've been a part of the school district since 2010 with the athletic department, and we've had a lot of success there with social media and in promoting our student athletes. Looking forward to doing that here across the entire school district. So strategic promotion, highlight of student achievements, something that we want to specifically focus on with social media, and also in collaborating with the individual schools, departments, marching band, performing arts, etc. Really want to work in tandem with all of those folks and continue to do what we had done again in athletics. Working with the athletic department, looking to recognize academic achievements and recognition at North Allegheny football games, in honoring students on the big video board that we have at Newman Stadium, and doing that during a game stoppage. Feel like that would be a nice opportunity with the large attendance that we typically have at football games to shine a light on our academic achievements and in the arts in the school district. Something else, building a larger database of photos. We have publications, the activities calendar, and just trying to collect on in a better fashion photos that can help celebrate the district. And lastly, in the communications department, Mr. Lee Harold, who does a fantastic job, our digital media specialist, in creating graphics, and he does a wonderful job. And what we can do with photos, with social media. And we've already been able to apply some of that since I started in July. And, hoping to continue to work with Lee and, again, shine a very positive light on all the great things that are happening here at North Allegheny.
Mr. Mergen gave his report last week, so I figured we'd let him off the hook this evening. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Warner for questions and the board members have any.
Thank you, Dr. Highland. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Dr. Gibbs?
Just a very brief question. I don't know if this is on. Do we know how many students day one will have in the district and how that compares with day one from last year?
We don't, because they're constantly enrolling and moving out. But you tell me the time that you want it, and we'll give you the amount of students that we have at that time. But we're around 8,400 would be relatively close.
And we do a third day enrollment, so we'll give that to the board. So you'll see where it compares to last year.
Ms. Hardy?
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. I wanted to say thank you to everyone for this report and presentation. Really looking forward to the school year being a fabulous school year this year. A couple of quick small questions. When things are updated in PowerSchool in terms of bus information, do the parents' families get an email notification or any sort of alert to let them know that something's happened, something's changed with their student, or do they have to go and check PowerSchool, a million times before school starts? Is that?
They do not receive an email notification, but we do recommend that parents check the PowerSchool's accounts just before school starts. We do receive a lot of late registrations, bus stop requests for separate bus stops for custody arrangements, daycare arrangements, and they all seem to come in very late. So a lot of things do change, and parents should check it right before school starts for the most accurate information.
Excellent. Thank you so much for letting us know, Mr. Martin. Perfect. I just wanted to say how popular the new open house format was in elementary school last year, and I look forward to hearing how it goes in middle school with the updates there. And otherwise, just wanted to say thank you so much, everyone. Looking forward to the school year.
Anyone else? Mr. Cox, I'd like to thank you for the transcripts and having those available on PowerSchool now. I know it was a struggle last year to have a senior, and so I was very thrilled to go on today, and I was able to see my junior's transcript was up there already. And so if anyone asks her, what's your GPA, we don't have to calculate it. It's right there on the unofficial transcript. That is wonderful. I want to echo what Dr. Dowell said about Jenny Gray and also Chris Omisitz and all the work they did on preparing those science kits for the elementary school. I happened to walk by the one day while they were here working on it, and it was impressive, the amount of bins, the amount of material that Mrs. Gray had put together, and all the time and effort she put into saving the district money and to making this easy for our teachers. It's really applaudable, all that effort she put into it. I was really impressed when I saw it all laid out. Ms. Tracy, I was wondering, could you give us an example of what is targeted professional development that you mentioned on when you were explaining your slide?
Sure. Thanks for asking that. So for our professional employees, tomorrow afternoon, they'll meet with what we call in our district, the Curriculum Senate. So that's a lot of our, department chairs. So folks who are either new to the district or new to their grade level or position will be able to meet with their peers who help lead the district in those efforts. So what are our, curricular plans for the year? They're able to ask a lot of questions about things and get answers from folks, frankly, who don't just work in HR. So it works out really well. And tomorrow afternoon for our special education paraprofessionals, Dr. Carrie Frohnapfel, brand new to the district, but we're lucky to have her, will provide training to our special education paraprofessionals to better prepare them to work with our students starting in school. So they receive education on disability awareness, on de-escalation techniques, different things that might occur in the classroom and how to handle them, working with our, educators on IEPs, things of that nature. So we made sure to split our group because we have everybody together in the morning to learn all the exciting ins and outs of payroll and communications. Mr. Gore will be both an attendee and presenter tomorrow. A little double dip for you, Randy. So in the afternoon, we do have that targeted education. And then Friday morning, everybody gets what we call Tech Day, technology education from Mr. Cox's department. And that's the academic technology side. So they'll learn about how to use Blackboard and PowerSchool and our other platforms to better assist students. So we just make sure that they're not just sitting and we turn on the fire hose of general information from the district, but really targeted.
Thank you. And Mr. Mergen, I apologize. I probably should have asked this last week, but it didn't really occur to me. And so now you're getting grilled again, even though you didn't have a piece this evening. But could you explain to me a little bit about how you determine whether or not a bus stop is safe or not?
Sure. The first thing that we look at when we are evaluating a bus stop is the sight lines, how far you can see the stop away from the stop at each direction. Things like curves in the road or a crest of the road can really affect how far you can see. And not only that, there's other issues like obstacles. If there's trees or shrubs in front of it that, as the bus is pulling up, you may not be able to see a student running out from behind. Things like that. Of course, whether the bus stop is approaching the stop, the bus is approaching the stop from the right or the left. We try as much as possible to have the bus approach where the students are boarding from the right so they do not have to cross in front. We also evaluate things like what is the walk to stop like? Is it on a narrow street? Is it on a street that has sidewalks? Of course, the distance, things of that nature. That's the primary items we look at.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Sure, you're welcome.
And I don't believe there were any more comments. So we can move on to speakers on voting items. We have no pre-registered speakers on voting items. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to come up and speak for 2 minutes on voting items? Seeing none, we will move on to our approval of the minutes. Ms. Harding.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. This month, the board will vote on approving the minutes for the June 12th and July 2nd minutes, and I so move.
Second.
Any comments on the minutes? Seeing none, we are ready for the vote.
The vote is open. Vote is closed and passes unanimously.
Thank you. Since we had the opportunity to review almost all of the items on our agenda last week and there was minimal discussion, I propose having a consent agenda this evening. Would someone like to move the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We do have some new items this week that were not on the agenda last week, and several of them were in your folder, Ms. Britton-Dozier. Would you like to go through and just highlight the new items that were new this week that were not on the agenda last week?
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. I'd be happy to. Today, we have 8 voting items in the HR folder for board action this evening that are, as you mentioned, new from last week. The items include resignations and retirements, appointments, adoption of contract and appointment of school police officer, wage and status changes, leaves of absence, recognition for additional education, professional contracts, and the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center contract of service, which I did highlight last week. Thank you.
Mr. McClure, there was one new item in your folder for vape sensors. Was there anything you'd like to say on
Yes.
that item?
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. Yeah, this is a nice add. Item number 31 on the folder this evening is an addition from last week, and that is a very timely purchase of vape sensors that will be installed at NAI and Nash. This will help our safety and security teams to identify vaping going on. And these are also tied to the cameras. So it may be an alarm, but then there's also a camera image that they can follow and see who might be the guilty party. So I think this is going to help student health in a big way. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on the voting items this evening? All right, seeing none, we are ready for the vote.
The vote is open.
And while we vote, I will note that we have one new information-only item this week, and that was a principal internship request. And I'll just also highlight that the 2 books that were mentioned last week are still on review, and the comprehensive plan and our 2 policies we will be voting on next month in September.
The vote did close and passed unanimously.
Thank you. Now we will move on to our special reports from the board. We received a legal counsel report electronically today. Do you have anything else to add, Mr. Melo? No? Excellent. So for the Citizens Advisory Committee report and the North Allegheny Foundation report, Dr. Simkowiak.
The North Allegheny Foundation will be holding its annual golf outing next month in September. I would strongly encourage everybody to participate. It's always a good time.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Blackburn, A.W. Beatty Career Center and our legislative report.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. With the A.W. Beatty Career Center, we want to congratulate the 11 Beatty students who recently competed in the Skills USA Nationals in Atlanta, Georgia. This information, it came from a month before, but we didn't have a meeting after we got the news. So I want to say it now. Only roughly 1% of all Skills USA students get a chance to even make it to nationals. So it's pretty amazing that we had 11 students from our own A.W. Beatty Career Center. The chapter display team, including North Allegheny graduate Sarah Woods, earned second place in nationals and silver medals. The Career Center's Career Pathways Showcase Arts and Communication team, including North Allegheny graduates Mackenzie Harrison and Noelle Malis, earned third place in nationals and bronze medals. And North Allegheny graduate Thomas Baranti and senior Blaze Husak competed in pin design and t-shirt design, respectively. Other Beatty news, we have our largest class coming in. We have an enrollment of 1,063. That's 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, but 1,063 this school year. And the first day is going to be August 20th. I have no new legislative news for this month. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Blackburn. All right, now we will move on to our speakers on non-voting items. We had 2 people call ahead and they will receive 5 minutes apiece. We will start with Ursula Lessig. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you. Nice to see you again. My name is Ursula Lessig, residing at 8832 Maple Street in McCandless Township. I am a North Allegheny graduate. I attended Hozak, Carson Middle School, NAI, and Nash. And I have twin 11-year-old daughters transitioning to middle school this year within North Allegheny. When students with disabilities receive special education supports and services in general education settings alongside peers without disabilities, this is called inclusive education. And we believe inclusive education is much more than special education services and supports, and much more than simply educating students with and without disabilities together. We believe inclusive education is a bold and courageous call to disrupt the inequities too often found in existing education systems. Including students with disabilities in the general education classroom also strengthens the classroom as a whole. Research has shown that when students with disabilities are included, teachers create classrooms that focus on student strengths, increase student access to resources and technology, implement teaching strategies that reach all students, and teach skills of collaboration and interdependence. And while some may argue students with disabilities may slow down the education of their peers, research shows that academic achievement increases or stays the same for students without disabilities in inclusive classrooms. Other benefits to students without disabilities who learn in general education classes with students who need supports include reduced fear of human differences, increased comfort and awareness of differences, growth in social cognition, improvements in self-concept, growth of ethical principles, and caring friendships. Students without disabilities benefit when educated with peers who have additional support needs by developing greater empathy, greater awareness, and tolerance of differences, learning to help others, and acquiring specific skills. For example, sign language may be one. Universal design for learning benefits all students, even those without an IEP or 504. A powerful way to provide purposeful peer support in any class is to consistently use inclusive and purposeful groupings. These types of heterogeneous or mixed ability groupings have many benefits to all students. They increase student learning outcomes and self-confidence, encourage a diversity of ideas and opportunities for learning from a wide range of peers, lead to higher conceptual understanding for all learners, and increase understanding and support peer-to-peer peers. All students benefit from being in mixed ability groups, learning to learn from and support and value one another. In my work with Dr. Brene Brown, she brings forward in her research that the opposite of belonging is fitting in. Because fitting in is assessing a group of people and thinking, who do I need to be? What do I need to say? What do I need to wear? And how I need to act, and changing who you are. True belonging never asks us to change who we are. It demands we be who we are. If we believe we fit in because of how we have changed ourselves, it is not belonging. It is not belonging. Because you have betrayed yourself for other people, and that certainly is not sustainable. Despite the evidence of the positive outcomes of inclusion, many students continue to receive special education services in segregated special education classrooms at North Allegheny. Becoming familiar with the problems of segregation for students with disabilities is an important step in understanding the need to continue to create inclusive education systems. We ask for your support in the bold and courageous call to
30
disrupt the
seconds.
inequities too often found in existing education systems. We have good people at North Allegheny wanting to do this work. The change needed requires your support. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Our next pre-registered speaker for 5 minutes is Stephanie Hack. Is it Hack? That's correct.
First and foremost, I want to thank you all for all that you do. You're sitting on this board to help make NA a school of excellence. And I believe it's all of our hearts that our kids are able to succeed, even excel in everything they strive in for life. However, there is an enemy that's fighting against them, and that's the misuse and overuse of technology. Tonight, I'm here speaking on behalf of Christina Avalone. She is an author, speaker, and educator. She has lived and parented through some of the most significant technological changes in history. In the fall of 2018, she began teaching a class, Parenting in a Digital World, when she saw the technology landscape change that led her to write a book, Thriving in a Digital World, as well as a unit study, Navigating Digital Dangers. Her passion for years has been to articulate an actionable plan and encourage parents, grandparents, teachers, coaches, mentors, and others to teach digital etiquette and help families and educators to take back the reins of their digital use. When iPhones were introduced in 2007, we didn't know what we didn't know. Today, in 2024, we know now educating students on the dangers of social media and the addiction that can result is so important, and instructing them how to be responsible in their digital engagement is crucial. Living in a tech-obsessed social media world is tough, What limits do we put on it? Is it safe? Why can't kids and adults just put their phones down? Is it too late to make a change? It may seem like an overwhelming challenge to set boundaries, put tools in place to manage technology usage, and teach basic digital device etiquette. Understanding is key. I would venture to say most are not aware of the digital addiction that has resulted with technology. I was shocked when I learned that teenagers nowadays spend more than 7 hours a day on their personal smart devices. The scary statistic is if teenagers are on their device more than 5 hours a day, and they are typically on more than 7, they are 71% more likely to exhibit suicidal risk factors. Please allow me to repeat that statement. Our youth are 71% more likely to exhibit suicidal risk factors for being on technology. And it's only getting worse. Changes need to be made, and they need to start now. The truth is, most people are not aware of the dire mental health situation at hand and its association with cell phone addiction. If they were, they would be taking back the reins. Why am I here? To ask that we implement the unit study, Navigating Digital Dangers. The unit study teaches the why behind the importance of taking back the reins. The 5-day flexible unit study is an all-slide demonstration informing students and teachers about digital dangers in an interesting and engaging way. It can be adjusted to fit the classroom when you choose the length of time to complete the study in 1 day, 5 days, or over a period of weeks or a semester. The unit study includes quizzes to identify if you are addicted to technology, various discussion points, SMART goals, pair, think, share discussions, and take-home activities. Our youth need to be awakened to the digital dangers of technology. Awareness is key. This is a message of hope that students can all thrive in the tech-obsessed world they live in as they set up boundaries, utilize tools to manage technology usage, and learn basic digital etiquette. Students will gain valuable insight into how to balance technology with everyday living. The current mental health crisis amongst our youth is and should be a wake-up call for everyone. Teachers have expressed to me the concern of what technology is doing to students, and they know changes need to be made and proper digital usage taught. It's never too late. We didn't know what we didn't know, but now we do. There's no time like the present. As long as students are under your influence, you can and should be using that influence for their protection and good. North Allegheny could purchase the unit study at the beginning of the year or throughout the year as it is available online. I am aware Christina has tried to get connected at NA through various teachers as well as parents to no avail. What are we waiting for? How dire does this situation need to get before we all come together to help our youth take back the reins of their digital usage in order to successfully navigate digital dangers? Once again, an overview of the 5-segment unit study. Purpose: educating students on the dangers of technology and the addiction that can result and why it matters. Objective: instructing students how to
30
take back
seconds.
the reins of their digital engagement and help them avoid misuse and overuse. Mission: to create a future where students possess the necessary skills to successfully navigate the complexities of the digital world in order to protect their minds, bodies, and reputations from predators of all sorts who would use them for purposes that are often in direct opposition to the core values we are trying to instill in them. Thank you. Would it be okay if I passed out a flyer? Thank you.
Thank you. We concluded with our pre-registered speakers. If there's anyone who would like to speak on any topic, then you can do the microphone now and they will have 2 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on a non-voting item? Mr. Harrison.
Good evening and welcome back for the school year. First question comes to one of the presentations that Ms. Tracy posted. Why only 5 out of the 7 elementary schools are we trying this new program on, and which ones will we be doing that on? The second concern is Mr. McClure had mentioned that we're getting new vape sensors / cameras. Sensors sounds great. My concern is where are these cameras going to be placed? My understanding is normally the vape sensors normally are placed in bathrooms. So as a parent and as just a normal person, I don't think we want cameras in bathrooms. So I'm asking where will those cameras be installed? And last, the presentation we had last week, transportation put out a great effort in how they're going to remap, redesign the whole busing situation, which was really good to hear. And then stuff got rolled out, and then we looked at it and said, oh, this isn't quite so good. Because my daughter's time basically shifted 40 minutes earlier instead of later. So I reached out to transportation on Monday and had an answer and solution tonight. So transportation, the people you guys hired for transportation, thank you.
30 seconds.
It's great to have somebody who responds, listens, and fixes things. So transportation, as of today, gets an A. We'll see how things go once things start coming on. But great job, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Is there anyone else who would like to speak this evening? And we will move on to our announcements and reminders. Any board members have anything they would like to contribute? Mrs. Blackburn.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. I just wanted to mention that if everyone in the district would please give us 2 weeks. The beginning of the school year is tough on transportation every single year. So feel free to make a phone call. They obviously will get back to you, but they do need just a little bit of time to have everything ironed out. It's tough on our bus drivers and everyone else as they endeavor on these new routes. So we'd just like to ask consideration and everyone be nice for 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Blackburn. Anyone else? All right, seeing no additional comments, I adjourn this meeting.